All right, as we go through our evolution of solving these equations, we come to something that's going to look a little bit different. In this equation right here, we've got variables on opposite sides of the equation, and this poses a little bit of a problem. Normally, we had all the variables on the same side, so we just had to get the variable by itself on a side, and it turned out to be pretty easy. In this case, it's going to be a little bit different. When I have a problem like this, 5x equals 18 plus 2x, I want to start by combining things together, but right now I really don't have anything that can be combined together. So here's what I have to consider. I have to either get all the x's on this side, or I have to get all the x's on this side. You can do that a couple of different ways, but the less amount of moves that you have to make, the better. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to show you getting rid of this on this side and putting it over here so we have all the x's over here. I could put the 5 over there, but then that would cause a problem because then I would just have to move this 18 back over here. And that would be too many steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this positive 2x. Now, normally when we see these, it's a division. But when I'm trying to put it on an opposite side and I'm trying to get rid of it on a side, it's just like adding and subtracting. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of this 2x on this side. So I'm going to subtract 2x. That's going to cancel that out. Now, remember, I have to do the same thing to the other side. I have to subtract 2x. Now, this is easy because we know that with like terms, we could put things that have x's together. So we have a positive 5 and we have a negative 2, which is going to make 3x equals the 18 still there. Now, this is a problem you should be familiar with. You can just simply put the number in that you know what it is. I'm sure that most people know that this is going to be 6, which is fine. Or if you don't know it's going to be 6, we could do what we did before. We need to get this, which is a times 3, off of the x here. We have to do the opposite. So that's going to be a divide by 3, which cancels that out. And then we have to divide by 3 on the other side, which is going to give me 6. X equals 6. So the one difference that we have here is that we have to, if we see variables on different sides, we have to do the same thing like we did with the numbers. We have to subtract or add to get rid of them on one side and put them on the other side like we did before. Now, if you think back to how I showed you how to check these to make sure they're right, if I say x is 6 and I put x in over here, well, 5 times 6 is 30. So over here, it's going to be 18 plus 2x, which 2x would be 2 times 6, which is 12. Add those together, 18 plus 12 is 30. So 30 equals 30. So both sides are the same, so we know we got that right. All right, here's the next one I'll show you, and I'm going to show you how to do this two different ways. Because we could get all the ends on this side, or we could get all the ends on that side. It really doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you follow our steps and think about if you do something to one side, you've got to do it to the other side. It works out just fine. So let's start with the top one here. Let's say I want to get all the ends to be over here on this side. The first thing I should always look at is to see if I can combine anything together before we start. And I can't, because I can't put those two things together. There's my equal sign, and I can't put those two things together. So let's start by getting the ends over to this side. So to get rid of this n and get it on the other side, I'm going to want to subtract 2n. Subtracting 2n is going to cancel that out, and it's going to do the same thing over here. Subtract 2n. Now I'm left with 12n. So I have 12n minus 7 equals, and I still have 5 left over there. Okay. Now this should be a pretty easy problem for you to solve because this looks like the ones we've done in the past once you get that n on the other side. So what I need to do is I need to get this minus 7. I need to get rid of this and get it to go on the other side so I can come closer to getting n by itself. So the opposite of minus 7 is just going to be plus 7. So that's going to cancel that out. I need to add 7 on the other side, which of course is 12. So now my problem looks like this. And 12n equals 12. And of course, everybody should know what that is. 12n, 12 times 1 is going to be 12. Or, if you couldn't figure that out for whatever reason, I can just do the opposite. This is 12 times n, so I can do divided by 12, cancels out, divided by 12, 12 divided by 12 is 1. So n equals 1. Okay. Now, I want to show you how to do it the other way, just so you know that, it's really hard to mess up if you do the same thing to both sides. It's tough to mess up. So let's start by moving all the n's to that side. Okay. So to get rid of this, 14n, positive 14, if you box off, always box off if that helps you know if it's positive or negative. I'm going to subtract 14n. That's going to cancel that out. I have to do the same thing to the other side. I've got to subtract 14n. If I do 2, which is a positive 2 take away 14 is negative 12n. So now I have negative 12n plus 5 on this side, and on the other side equals, I've still got that negative 7. So I need to get rid of this and get it over to the other side because I want to get n by itself on this side. So this is a positive 5, so the opposite of a positive 5 is going to be subtract 5. Cancels out. Let's subtract 5 over here. Negative 7 minus 5, of course, would be negative 12. So now my problem looks like this. Negative 12 equals, over here I still have negative 12n. And if I do the division on that, if I divide by negative 12 on both sides, I'm going to get n equals 1, just like I got at the top. Okay. So whichever way or whichever side you decide to put the variables on, it doesn't matter, as long as you're always doing the same thing to both sides. All right, let's start this one by combining things together first because it's obvious we've got stuff on both sides that we should be able to put together. For instance, on this side, I've got negative 6x, and I've got positive 3x, and I've got minus 8, which can't go with those, but I should be able to put these two things together. Negative 6 and positive 3 is negative 3, so negative 3x. Minus 8 equals, and I should be able to put things together on the other side, it looks like. I should be able to do 5 plus 10 is 15. And then, of course, I still have my minus 6x. Okay. And again, I'm just going to choose one way or one place to put the x or which side I want to do it on. I could move them all over to here. I could move them all over there. It doesn't matter. I'm going to move them all over to here just because I know that when I add 6 and add 6, it's going to be a positive x value. So sometimes those are easier to think about, but it really doesn't matter. So over here, I've got to get rid of this negative 6x so I can put it on the other side because I want to get the x by itself. So I want to do plus 6x, which is going to cancel that out. And on the other side, I'm going to do plus 6x as well. And if I do that, negative 3x plus 6x is positive 3x. So I have a positive 3x minus 8 equals 15 is still left on the other side. Now I've got to get this x by itself, so I've got to get rid of this minus 8 or negative 8. So it's a negative 8, so the opposite of negative 8 would be adding 8. Okay. So if I go ahead and add 8 to this side, that's going to cancel out. And if I add 8 to that side, let's see, I believe I would get 23. So now I have 3x equals 23. Now, usually I make ones that come out evenly and that come out nice and whole here, but this one obviously is not going to because I don't know 3 times what it's going to get us 23. I don't know. So what we'll do is we will just divide both sides by 3 because that's what we could do anyways. We've got to get that x by itself. So if I divide this side by 3, that's going to cancel out. If I divide 23 by 3, 3 goes into 23. Let's see, that would be 7 times would be 21 with 2 left over. So we could just go 7 2/3, and that would be perfectly fine. 7 2/3 would work out for that one. All right, for our next one here, we've got a lot of things that we should be able to combine together to start with. I'll just put a box around the x's so we know which ones those are. And then we can combine on each side. So it looks like I can do the positive 6 and the positive 4, which is going to be 10. Looks like I can do the minus 4x and the minus 8x would be negative 12x. Equals. Now on the other side, all I have is x's. So 10 minus 32 is going to be negative 22x. Now, when I'm deciding which side I want the x's to be on ultimately here, my easiest move is to put them on this side because that's all I have over on that side, so I might as well put them all over there, which means I need to get rid of this minus 12x on this side so I can have all the x's on the other side and just have the numbers on this side. So minus 12x, the opposite is going to be plus 12x, and then plus 12x. Okay. Now if I look at this, I've got negative 22 and 12, which is going to be a negative 10x. Okay, equals. And on the other side, if you notice, I still have 10 left here. So now it's down to a pretty simple problem. Negative 10 times x equals 10. Okay? I know that my answer for this one for sure is going to be negative 1, because negative 1 times negative 10 is 10. But if you don't do that, remember you can always do the division. The opposite of times by negative 10 would be divide by negative 10. So if I do the opposite and divide by negative 10, and on this side I divide by negative 10, 10 divided by negative 10 is, of course, negative 1. So x equals negative 1 would be your answer. All right, let's combine here first to start with, and this will be the last one we'll do before you get your shot at some practice ones here. Let's see, x, and if you need to put a little 1 in front of that, you can do that as fine. And then it looks like that can be combined with that right there because they're both x's. So 1 minus 4 is negative 3x. Still have my minus 15 equals. And then it looks like I can put this 1x and this positive 4x together to get 5x. And then it looks like I have plus 1. Okay. So now the exchanging begins here. I have to decide, well, what side do I want my x's to be on, or what side do I want my variables to be on? I'm just going to get rid of this, put it over here, because I know that'll make that a positive number, so I'll just work with positive numbers. Minus 3x, I've got to get that to the other side, or I've got to get rid of it on this side, so all my x's are over here. So the opposite of minus 3x is going to be plus 3x. So I can cancel that out. And we'll do plus 3x on this side. That's going to give me 8x. Okay? And then I still have my plus 1 here. And then my equal sign. And the other side, I still have minus 15. Okay? 15. All right, we are getting closer to having the x by itself, but this thing is kind of in the way here. So we need to get rid of that so the x can be by itself. So that's going to be minus 1 on that side. Cancel out. Minus 1 on this side is going to be negative 16. Okay, so I've got negative 16 equals 8x. You should be able to look at that and figure what it is. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. But if you don't know that, we can divide 8 on both sides because it's times x, so we can divide by 8 instead, do the opposite, and negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. Negative 2 would be your answer.